Hello? Hello? Is this working? Hello? Are we in? Are we in? Whoa. Hello? Guys, thank you for the resubs. It was Carminator, it was Insidious, it was Zenex. Thank you for the resubs, I appreciate it. Let's get your dice roll, shall we? Oh, Bun's here. Right, see you later, guys. Oh, I see how it is. You better keep posting your kitten. How's the music, guys? It's not too loud, is it? I'm gonna take down just a little bit. We're gonna take down a little bit. Intro music's always loud. Always. Nah, never gonna post again. Oh, I see how it is. I see how it is. Why am I in out of context? Go, I swear to God. I will get your dice rolls in a second. Won't be a sec. What was that? What are you doing? Star Kid! Hi, I'm new here. Thank you for the resub. That is 4. 4 dice rolls I've got to do. Star Kid, thank you. Oh my god, they're 10 months. 10-month resubs. Holy shitballs. Okay, we'll get the first one. Go, we'll get your one done first. I'm eyeballing the beans right now and I'm not happy about it. Haha, that was a 4. That was a 4. No bean. No bean. No bean. No bean, no bean, no bean, no bean, no bean for goat. And Simitus. Here we go, here's your dice roll. I'm afraid to say you got a 6. No bean, no bean, no bean, no bean. I swear to God, if ZX gets me. ZX, here's your dice roll. You got an 18. No bean. Nobody's got me so far. Nobody's got me so far. I also have photos from today's shenanigans. What kind of shenanigans? Star Kid, I'm doing your dice roll now. You got an 18. Nobody got me with a bean. Nobody got me with the bean. 18 a crit for a level 20 fighter, so bean. No bean. No bean. You know the rules. The rules apply. The rules apply. Thank you for the resubs, guys. I appreciate it. It helps. We're going to be doing a little bit of 7 Days to Die. I need... Are you using the correct dice? It's supposed to be a D20, not a D18. It's a D20. I'm using a D20. Keep menu music down because that bugs me. Why not 8 days? Because there isn't an 8 days yet. Enable voice chat? No. Overall sound. I need to be able to hear the zombos. 6 days. I'd take 6 days. It is still in alpha after 10 years. It is. Okay, Simeon will not backseat, promise. Let's see. Language auto. We're going with Celsius because yes. Journal pop-up. Oh, they've added things. Auto share quests. Network workaround. We'll do with that. Can I get into the game now? It's doing a Kerbal Space Program. I do kind of want to play Kerbal. It is on my to-do list. I just turned around and the dog bed is upside down. Doggo, what are you doing? It has a piece of my heart always. Sorry, I've got like a... Instead of getting a glass, I've got a litre bottle of water. Litre bottle of water. Back. New game. Player profile. We'll go what? Roxy? No. I wish we could make our own characters on this, because these suck. We'll go with Emma. New game. Region. We'll go Europe. Let's say max 4. Game password. I need to hide the screen for a second. I need to put my water down before I spill it because it's in my lap right now. Because that would be very bad, because if it's spilt here, it goes straight onto the computer. But how is everybody? Keeping out of trouble? Keeping out of mischief? I need to hide the screen ever so slightly, just for a moment. Bom, 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 bom. You can't see anything now. Nope, that's not the right one. The heck? I'm clicking everything and it's still open. I don't get this. I don't get why this is still open. Why is it still there? Why? I crave violence. And as soon as you're sleepy, the amount of things I've just closed, there should be no gameplay visible. But apparently it's still there. Ahaha, got it. I'm gonna put it in. That's what he said. There we go, that's in there. Are you guys still playing the clicker game in Discord? Oh my god. A little bit addicted, aren't we? A little bit. Let me just get where I can see what I'm doing again. Almost level 50. Left the house at 9:30. Got home just after 6. Holy hell, what were you doing? Let's see if the game works. Let's see if the game works. Acquiring keys. No, not touch stick. Click, 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 click. I don't know what you mean. Also, the scope goal. Oh my god, the sub goal didn't update. It should be 4 or 5 right now. Why is it broken? Twitch, why are you so broken again? Sounds like you've had a busy day though. Very, very busy day. Now the doggo is looking at me upset because she can't get in her bed because she flipped it upside down. Here. I'll only fix it this once. You do it again, I'll leave it like that. I'll leave it like that. Hey, guess what? Go get the hot dog. Always broken. It's making me do this thing. Oh no. Rapid fire clicking. Oh my god. It's making the world. I know, but it's taking forever. I'm an impatient bunny. We know this by now. God said it's broken. God said it's broken because you set it up. What size is it? Window sized? I don't know. It's not full screen at the minute. It's not full screen. I'm gonna boot chat because I can. World size? I don't know. I didn't pay attention. I didn't pay attention to the world size or anything. What size? That's very personal. That's not what I was asking. Probably 10 minutes to load everything. Well, it gives me a chance to catch up with chats anyway. Neener, neener, neener. It says creating player. We're creating player. Oh, here we are. Continue. Continue. I need to quickly go into settings. Like this. General. So the last message I put in for me was 10 minutes past. Then a silly message came up after it. And then I mispressed. I have mastered time travel. Stop breaking shit. Stop with the breaking shit. What was I doing? I was going into video. Quality. We'll leave bloom on, but motion blur needs to get to shit. Motion blur should never be on a game to start with. It should be optional. And yes, let's log in with Twitch, shall we? Success! It is now currently linked with Twitch. Oh my god, it is on top of everything else. There we go. I don't know if that's working because it was on top of other stuff and I couldn't read it properly. Well, we'll find out. We'll definitely find out. Back. Ah, it's making me install the extension. Won't be a sec. Disconnected to the streamer not having the extension installed. I'm doing it now! Mother trucker, I is doing it now. There we go. We'll try it again. Options. Twitch. Log in with Twitch. Authorize. There we go. Everything's connected. At least I think it is. Oof. Oof. Just gonna allow vision effects, yes, in standard. Default cooldown. Oh, why is my Discord overlay showing? I don't want my Discord overlay on. What is this shit? Appearance. Window settings. Streamer mode. Enable streamer mode. There we go. I smited the goat without thinking it. Oof. I will fix it. I will fix it. Won't be a sec. Pro streamer, we're setting it up as we go. I need to open settings. It's because I's hiding in invisible. There we go. No rush. Never rush. Always drama. What is all this? I'm sure you guys will figure it out. If there's a way to torture the streamer, you'll find it. Here we go. Off to a good start. What is this? Medical journal use? But yeah, I don't mind a little bit of help. I haven't played this for a hot minute. So it's a little bit like, eh. I'm going to steal half a sandwich. There we go. It seems like they've optimized it a bit since last time I was here. It feels a lot smoother. I'm gonna take the bone. We're gonna bring the bone with us. Press F4 for unlimited money. There, I help. Nice try, ZX. Well, it won't let me move into live either. You should have action. You should. I can see you. Yes, the live stream channel is always 18 plus. If you're not 18, you shouldn't be in my Discord to start with. Oh my god. It's been a while since another zombie game took over on enjoyment. I find this like it's really weird that this particular zombie game's a comfort game. Are you breaking it? Have you broke it? Definitely broke it. Hashtag spawn deathclaw. Procky, no! No violence. Oh, so how you doing, Proc? ZX. Oh, I'm 17 and 90 months. You received a... Oh, no. No! How do I... Oh, God. How do I get to the thingy to accept it? Got it. I'm okay. Am I the only one? I know this doesn't pertain to the Americans right now, but the Brits, are you finding it unseasonably warm at the minute? It's been a bit toasty. It is running so much better than last time. Holy fudge knacker. 7 days will always be a comfort game, but my laptop can't handle COD 3 and 7 days on my hard drive space, so yeah, COD took over for a reason. Apparently there's going to be a heat wave next week. It's fucking October! There should be no heat waves. So how far? You're 3.3 kilometers away. How do I turn the Discord overlay off? Because it's covering your thing on my thingy, and I can't see stuff. I can't remember how to turn the Discord overlay off! Augustine, thank you for the resub 10 months in a row! Behind you! Starkid melting, got it. Why is Starkid melting? Should we be hearing somebody else right now? No, Got isn't talking right now. Oakenstein, there you go. I do need to turn Discord voice on the OBS, so bear with me a second. There you go.
Fixed
now
that
you
just in a different channel.
Yeah, yes we did. There you go. You should be able to hear Got now.
I know many are disappointed by this. I apologize.
Okay, Stein, let's get your dice rolling. Fred's said nobody's beamed me today. It is a 17.
Oh, 1 second.
I did your dice roll, Go. I did yours. We're listening to spooky music as well. I'm not ZX, it's flat. What? You said yet. What do you mean? They have definitely updated this. It's not chugging like it used to in the slightest. I might end up maining this for a little while. But how is the Oakenstein? I'm gonna take all that, take that. Ooh! Okay, cooldown commands. Oh no. I don't even have weapons yet. They're gonna kill me. Chat's gonna kill me. Can I change where that is? Egg. No egg, only feather. But yeah, I don't know how to turn off the Discord overlay on this game. My brain is flat. I used to know how to do it, now I can't remember. I just got off work and I'm showered, feeling refreshed. What are these? What are those? Oakenstein sent a crate, which is a food and drink crate. We got some yucca juice. We
That's
got
good
beer.
shit.
And some charred meat. I appreciate that. Oh my god, that made me jump. Player high! Yeah, the sounds are working.
Just
What?
remember. Yeah, you gotta open that up. You gotta break it.
Oh no, what does that do in game? Oh, you got points in game. Why is it not letting me do this? It says E to search explosives crate.
And you press E and it doesn't work, correct?
No, it don't work.
You gotta open it. You gotta break it.
I'm gonna break it. I'm gonna punch it.
Yeah.
It's not letting me punch it either. I'm gonna pull it out of the tree. Oakenstein, let's get your dice roll. And that is an 18. No bean. I'm punching it, but that isn't. That's so weird. Why is it not letting me? I'm getting the nope noise. I'm gonna hit it with this. I got one closer at this rate. I should send 1,000 bits to get the 20. Oh god. Player says to shoot it, but I have nothing to shoot it with yet.
No, it craft a stone axe and then break it with the stone axe. That's how you get into most crates. Is you break the first layer and then it shows like a cardboard box.
This and then axe. Whoa! Crowley, thank you for the resub. 8 months in a row. It won't let me in those either. It let me in this one. It let me in the food, the medicine.
I don't know.
Let's get Crowley's dice roll as well. Whoop. That is a 16. Right, so I need to craft an axe. Let's find out. Stone axe. Craft. We're gonna do this for science. Because he's an X-Man. Nobody's got me with the bean today, and I'm kind of reveling in it a little bit. There was a box there briefly, and then it disappeared. No, that's not letting me do it either.
Oh,
wait,
you can't
are some of
break
these
it?
boxes for Goat as well, because he's in here?
Oh, those may be mine, yeah.
Yeah. Look at your butt
All
over
right.
here.
Alright, well, I am going to go to the trader, which is on the way to you, and then I will also yeah.
Player, can I get admin? I want to ask a question. Send one of the mods on the Discord a DM. ZX is around, StarKid is around. Goat is currently distracted in game. And Dash is at an event further Chidled. Curly, how are you feeling? I'm gonna stay around here because they're Goat boxes apparently. That's why I can't steal them. I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to steal them. They're not mine. I'm gonna go for this door though. Can't stop me from looting though. Dun, 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 dun. I'm tired, just got off work, gonna lurk on the drive home. Player, I'll ask about it after stream because it eventually ends up involving you, Bun. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What have I done? Ooh, fire. Ooh, zombie noises! What? Was that chat? Or was that in game? I don't know.
I think that was in game.
Oh, lovely. Whoa! Yep, it was in game! It was in game! Bertha, 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 Bertha.
Bertha, no. Bertha is what it sounds like you just...
Bertha,
oh!
no.
Oh, now I see. Now I understand why you're saying it.
Bertha, 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 Bertha. She's not wearing a bra!
Oh.
It's about me being curious if you have done something. In what way? You could just send me a DM. You don't need to be cryptic about it. Bertha, just stay in the hole! Neener. At least, well, she died in a very dignified pose for a change. Kaguri, hi! Welcome in! Can I steal this? Can I steal? There is an energy source near this house. Body bag. Satisfying squish noises. If there's anything mods can help with, in the meantime, feel free to DM. Maybe we can help. That is true.
They're there for a reason.
Is very good at helping. Why is this raised? Feel free to DM a mod. Unfortunately, it's just a question for Kira. Then if it's just a question for me, drop me a DM. I will answer it when I can. But right now, I'm trying not to get my butthole chewed up on a game. Really? All that for that? Alright, okay. My inventory is already nearly full, by the way.
Sounds about right.
Loot Goblin will be Loot Goblin. I can't help it. How is Kaguri today? I'm probably butchering your handle. Can I lick the coffee filter? I can steal stuff out of it.
That's not something I was expecting to hear today.
What?
Can I lick your coffee filter?
I just did. I wasn't sure if I could ask it during the stream is all. If ever that kind of thought comes to your head, drop it to my DM. If I can answer it, I will. If I have to wait till after stream, I'll answer it then. Just fire the story or fire the thingy. You never know until you ask it. Where's Ed Boy? I found potatoes. Cowboy, hi! Zombies right now with Bunny Booty. Yes. We have switched over to my normal PNG because, well, it's winter. There's no bikinis in winter, I'm afraid, folks.
Depends where you are.
Where has bikinis in winter?
Florida.
Is this right? Can anybody confirm this? I'm good, thanks for asking. Today was World Mental Health Day, but mine is terrible. Oh, sweet. That's not good. That's not good. I also see Cowboy in as well. I see you, Trouble. So guess who's having a huge stomach ache today? Stomach aches suck. Yeah, Florida doesn't get cold weather much at all. Do they not get ice at all? Do they get snow? Do they never get snow?
Okay.
I know I've heard that iguanas are falling out of the trees in Florida, I think. But they're not native, so they shouldn't be there. So they're all just falling out of trees. I make snow. We're doing okay. There's a crate there from Wolkenstein. There's a crate from Crowley. I think they're both forgot at the minute. Time for lurks for food. Enjoy your noms. I heard a crate. Oh. Oh, my crate is in the floor. No. No. Brookie, thank you for the weapon crate, but it's in the floor right now. I tried to retrieve it. Trying. I can't get to it. Oh no. Bone knife. Yes, I shall partake on that one. We have some ammo. We're gonna throw that out. And a very, very low level pipe machine gun. Yes, I shall take that.
Oh, you got a pipe gun too?
Yes.
I picked up a pipe rifle.
Oh, I see. You get the rifle. Supply zombie? I don't think that's how it works, player.
I approve of the ingenuity.
Oh, Spooky Scary Skeletons is playing. Oh! Oh no! No, no! 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 Oh, shitballs! Shitballs!
You gonna die?
Hopefully not! just yeeted the hell out of there.
The ragdolling of the zombies are still going strong, I'll tell you that much. I just power attack one off a mountain, and it was very enjoyable.
I think he is no longer a threat, I think. But he does have a buddy. Down? He down. That means there's something good in there, right? If they were defending it with zombies. Get some more toilet juice. There we go.
Juice.
What?
Accurate, but ew.
It's the apocalypse. You can't be picky about it.
Watch me.
Found the safe. I just made my dog jump because I accidentally touched the end of her tail while she was being a shit. I can't be the only one that does that. When your pet's being a little pain in the rear and they're not paying attention to what you're doing, just touch the end of their tail or something and just watch them turn around. Apocalypse or not, I'll be picky. I'm sorry, that doesn't work with me. I'd rather drink that than pond water. Let's be honest, if you boil it, you're probably safer with that than pond water, because you can get those amoebas and stuff. The brain-eating amoebas. But I think they have to go up your nose, I think.
But found
Foxhole is kind of just blur. That's not bad. That's not good.
Speaking of pond, I did find a pond. And from what I've been told... What I've been told is that water sources like this are actually got pretty rare in the game.
So you have one. Have you marked it on the map, or?
I will once I cross it.
Okay. I'll have to test his tail thing, touching later. Once Ori stops being a puddle. Are they being all cuddly?
I'm so jealous of this man.
I know, same. For anybody who doesn't know, there is pictures in the Discord. ZX got a kitten today. And I don't think it's fair, because I don't have a kitten.
Here.
Also, Kira, you'll be happy to know I don't make a giant beep when I plug in my mic anymore. You got a new one, nice. No, still fast asleep near the pillow. Aww. Now, am I to run towards you, Goat?
I'll run towards you. Because it also should have the crate stuff.
Yes, there's goodies here waiting for you that I can access. I'm just trashing the house that's next to it.
I appreciate the goodies, folks.
He slumped over, looks like he's melting. Oh my god. I need the kitten. I need kitten. The next, do you need some English lessons? No. Damn Explose's crate didn't spawn in. I think it's because we've got one at the minute. So there's one there. Two there, but they're goats, so I can't have them. I'm not allowed. So I might as well get this bedroll thing out of the way.
I like that. I didn't realize I got those messages too. Yeah. I keep getting delayed by...
Okay? Also might need an eyesight test. I reread messages and double of a word that I only put once. Oof. Yeah, when was the last time you had your eyes tested? Are you sure that's a cat and not a small possum? People have made worse mistakes in the past. I've already crafted an axe, game. I wish you would remember that. To when I got my eyesight tested last, yes. Spawn bear! No! I don't have bear weaponry just yet. Ooh, that's a satisfying noise.
Yeah. I keep running into zombies. So it's is
I'm just
taking
stabbing
longer
random
than I
things
thought.
while I wait. It's fine.
Alright, cool.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I think I've checked everywhere in this house. At least I think. How does this work? If it's available, it will show it on screen. That currently is not available on screen. As it explained, when I
Player...
said he's on the pillow, I thought I put twice on, and then I looked again. Oh no.
Player,
Oh, no.
how you get PP? I'm sorry, we can't speak about that here. We cannot help you with that. That is a very personal thing.
They just got they got 500 PP. Oh, I heard a crate box. There's one. Oh, there's two. Thank you for the crate. I appreciate it. It's got drugs in it. It's got herbal stuff. That sounds like death. Where did death just go?
Oh.
What was that noise?
That happens to me too, by the way.
Oh, shit.
Claire, I'm so far away. Why?
Oh, God, the woozies. Oh, not the woozies. Woozies wild as a... Nope. Nope. Whoa. I'm getting outside. I'm getting outside. At least I can see what I'm doing out here. Oh. Chat, why? Who got me with the woozy? It was Player, wasn't it? Just as there's zombies in here. Oh, they've also summoned a zombie on me.
God. I hate this. I should feel bad for how many times I did this combo to... No, I did woozy and freaking speed to you. That was mean.
Yes, you did. That, and you summoned stuff towards me as well.
Oh, every time I spawned a crate, yeah.
I still don't regret taking your bike away.
That was so funny. Aha, I'm on it. You can't take it away. Suddenly starts killing me.
I think that's the zombies gone for the minute. I should probably heal up though, because people are after my death. Let's see, what drugs do I have? What's this? What's this do?
I honestly don't know if the zombies spawn on me. I've been running into zombies as I go. I just don't know if they're organic or stream.
I know I've had a couple summons. Time to bite the bun.
Oh.
No biting.
Regen. Nice.
Thank you. So I don't need to go through my stuff right now because somebody regened, so my stuff's safe. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh, this regens stamina too. Oh, this is nice. I get a couple seconds of I can just sprint, especially since I have to go through a whole town to get to you.
Oh, that was a noise.
This is a bit scary.
What was that? What was that?
That may have been the thing ending.
I thought I saw something coming out of the door. Oh! Player Y!
Player...
You get to pick who you do it on.
This one is worse.
Oh, this is Blur. I can't see shit right now.
God.
Oh. Oh my. I will say Squirrel Brain wants me to run away from where the boxes are right now. I feel like
That's fine.
No, there are 3 crates there.
Alright.
Should I put a map marker? Would you be able to see it?
Yes, if you share it.
Quick waypoint. Is it quick waypoint? All I see is the label here for water. Water. But it's time to actually correct because zombies. What? No, no, while I'm doing this, no. How do I share it? Shit.
If you go, you're on map, and you see in the upper right where you see like the people.
Uh-huh.
You click that. You see share a waypoint.
I think I've shared it via allies.
Yep.
Did I just accidentally deleted it, I think.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Smooth. Smooth.
Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally used a book that I already had, and I could have given that to you.
It's okay. You can use it to farm XP in a minute.
Yeah.
Player, you're going to the timeout corner. There you go. It should. Can you double check that I've made it so it's visible before I run away? Because there is a zombie here.
Is it called boxes? Yes.
Yes.
Save waypoint. Gotcha.
Bonk.
I'm actually pretty happy right now. I just got lucky goggles. I love lucky goggles.
Oh, I see that Procky's trying to do dance off in the chat. Not happening. Oh, that was a graphic glitch right there. But I have drugs. I will use said drugs. Why won't let me? There we go. We're running.
I found a crack-a-book. 1 second.
Oh. I was running and the mountainside was flickering. Freedom! Player the Combinator shared a mark.
Yep.
The puddle moves! We need proof that the puddle is moved. Do you want to see a squeaky toy? You do. Got a bit of gasoline. Potato seed. We're gonna need some potato seed.
Ooh, a pink minivan.
Can we fix it?
I don't know. I think that's a mod thing.
Aw. I'm just raiding cars as I walk. I can see a chicken. Chicken trying to take out a zombie, apparently.
Bonamino stole my squeaker. Yep.
Bonamino stole my squeaker. It won't be back. I didn't steal it. It's just it hurt people's ears.
Mine included.
I'm not sorry for what I'm about to do. Shit! Now I am! Why can't I hit anything? Why can't I hit? I've got no stamina. I've got 0 stamina, that's why I can't hit anything. And I can't run. Oh, for fuck's sake. Quick, how do I bring stamina up?
Wait, be patient.
I can't though, she's chasing me. Oh god, do I have anything? Oh no. 1,000 PP for being top helper. What? Where did the chicken go? Oh, I lost the chicken. Thank you for the help.
Energize? Oh, thanks.
She tried to nibble my giblets too many times. I had to make her go. Chase the chicken down! Chicken! Come on, quick, before the zombie eats my face. Come on. I see him. Thank you for the regen!
I gotta try and find these boxes.
They should be in the front yard, if you can see them.
Okay, I found one in the house. Oh, okay. I went into the back of the house, that's why.
Are you a picker?
Oh my goodness. Oh no. Kira, they gave me dynamite and pipe bombs.
Oh, for fuck's sake, who gave Minotaur pipe bombs?
Oh, goodness.
Very, very quickly taking the tree out because it's blocking my line of sight. What does it want me to do? It says craft a stone axe. I already did that. I stand here. Where did it go? There was definitely a zombie over there.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you again. Oh, excuse me.
My brain decided to sneeze at that exact same time.
Alright, so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I don't know how to use these.
You don't know how to use the pipe bombs?
Oh,
Oh,
I
no.
have no clue.
We might see a goat death.
It's very possible.
Wasn't me. I didn't like me trying to cause chaos via bloody crate. Player, I'm surprised the sneezes didn't eat the bun considering they're so tiny. No sneeze. I need him to not be, well, to be double dead, technically. Double dead! Right, what else does it want me to do? Craft fiber clothing. I don't want to do this. I don't want to make grass pants.
Hey, they changed it. You used to have to make a whole grass outfit.
Pants. Craft. Where? There we go. I've put some pants on.
Finally.
I don't want to put no pants on. No pants.
Are you at the house?
I'm at a house.
Oh, there's someone going right towards you. Do you see the zombie going right towards you?
There's one right in front of me right now. Also, don't tell Kyrot, but Google gave me half a year of free Discord Nitro. Nice. I'm telling. Yeah, my stamina is poo-pooed at the minute.
Right, so did I mess it up?
I think I see you in the distance, possibly. Or you just stood there. Oh, things are exploding. Yes, this is definitely gold.
There's no range on those. Goodness gracious. And bam.
I will make you sick again, Bon. What do you mean?
Wait, is this the edge of the map? Or
I am not sure.
is this just a sign?
I don't think we've hit the edge of the map yet. There's a house here we haven't raided yet.
I'm testing.
You're just exploring.
I'm being a guinea pig.
Oh no.
So I don't
right,
think
so
we
I'm
are.
standing
No.
back
Oh, we
down.
actually are pretty close to the edge of the map.
Murder chickens.
Oh.
Somebody summoned speed.
Nice.
Very,
what do I
very
want?
quickly. I love how the speed is a bunny as well. I appreciate that. Why is my healing not working? What do I need to do? I'm eating food with the little medical thing on it, but I'm not healing.
I'm just seeing.
Is it making me do that? It is. It's making me use a bandage. Bandage.
The speed is very helpful for me right now. Oh, yep. Yep. There is
the edge of the map.
There is a deadly radiation zone. I am trying to run out of it.
And you ran straight into it.
Yep. Yep. About.
I didn't say nothing. I didn't encourage him to go there. He did that all on his own.
But now we know. We don't run away from zombies in this direction.
Not that specific direction, no. Inventory's doing okay. Wow. I need to get in here. The loot goblin sense is needed. Why have I got blood drop thingy going on? What is this? Have I got germs?
Oh.
How do I fix the germs?
Oh, we got crates.
Use! Thank you for the crate!
Thank you for the crate. Very nice. Very nice.
And thank you for the resub as well. 5 months. Where did the crate go? Oh god, there's a zombie right there.
It's right
I heard
behind.
the crate. I heard the crate. Ammo! You give me shotgun ammo! Yes, I also need to do your dice roll. I might have found a Choo Choo Charles like multiplayer game on Roblox. Oh no. Crowley created the blur.
I hate it with the blur.
You hate it with the blur. Use, I'm afraid to say you got a 5. That is no beans. No beans. Nobody's beating me today. I'm getting quite lucky. I'm getting quite lucky. Oh god, I can't see dick when it's like
blur. This. I regret it.
All the regret. I can't see dick.
Isn't that a good thing?
True. Oh no. No. I hear snarly noises. Snarly noises. LOL, woo, for 2069. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it.
Lol, 420. I swear. I swear this is someone's alt and you're funny.
What? It's a good username, yes? I heard zombie noises and I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. Crowley spawned a normal, but I don't know where it is. I'm having a trauma.
It is no longer alive. I found it.
You found it. Buddy!
Yeah, it's my least favorite. It's a burned.
Oh no. How do I bring my stamina back up?
You wait.
I don't like waiting though.
Well, I'm sorry. That's how the game works.
I'm just quickly trying to speed the tutorial thingies and get them done.
Gotcha.
Because then it'll be off my screen and gone then. There we go. Crowley attempting the scare. I'm gonna pop out for now. Drive safe. Have a good dinner when you get there. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. He never checks. He never checks behind these.
Oh, I went up first. I assumed we'd go different directions.
Whoa.
Oh.
Well, I guess you came back down, huh? Oh. What is the best way? Building block. Oh, for God's sake. I hate the tutorial. I hate it.
We got a cooking pot. That's good.
I'm just going to throw the block down here. Does anybody else do this? Just get that bit done. I heard a danger noodle.
There's no longer a danger noodle. Oh, or did someone spawn a snake?
There is a possibility. I heard it.
I did just kill a zombie, but I don't know.
What's the best way to create a fire? What? Campfire. What do I need?
5 small stones.
I need another stone. I need to go find myself a brick.
Gotta use a brick.
I need a brick.
House. She's mathematic. Let it all hang out.
There is a workbench in here.
Like a working one?
It's destroyed.
Oh, okay.
Best way to create a fire. Supply explosives.
I got it.
No, do not encourage him. He needs no encouragement to blow things up right now. I'm getting a lot of clay. Clay was like a harder thing to get previously.
Oh wow, one shot, get wrecked.
But my stamina is not building in the slightest. I'm hobbling. I can't find any stones. I don't have the stamina to hit a rock to make stones, to make the rest of the fire. I think I see a stone. I'm going for it. Yoink. I think if I make food, I'll be able to build my stamina that way. There's also a zombie just up the road from us.
I am in the house.
In the house.
Holy crap.
Oh no.
There's... If you come up to the attic of the house, you'll find something.
At the minute... I literally have no stamina.
I regret.
I hear noises. Suspicious noises. You good? Oh, I can't put anything on the fire because I don't have a grid. God damn it.
I got hit. Not too bad, but yeah, 3 zombies fell from the ceiling.
Just fell from the ceiling?
Yeah.
I can't pick up a fire, can I, once it's been made? It's down, it's down.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of useless. I've got no stamina to hit anything. Let's see. I'm just going to eat everything I've got in my inventory and find out what happens. The honey doing anything? The honey did not do anything. It did a little bit of food. A little bit of food. We're going to take some of that. Right, I'm not slowed down because of my loot goblins. But I still have 0 stamina. What? You saw nothing, chat. You saw nothing.
Ooh. I've learned to make some foods.
Some what?
Some foods I've learned.
What happens if I drink beer? Hang on. Nothing's bringing my stamina back up.
I don't need this.
Let's see. I've made a bandage. I've made a couple of bandages. You cannot use that at this time. Have I got like lurgy or something? Because everything I'm doing is not bringing anything back. First aid bandage. Oh, okay, so I don't have enough skill to make a first aid bandage just yet?
Correct.
There be zombies out here. There's definite zombies out here. I'm putting my bedroll down just so I don't get murdered and shipped miles away.
I put mine down earlier, so you're good.
Why is the light flashing up the road? There's like 2 or 3 of them up the road. But I can't punch. I'm literally out of stamina. I don't know how to fix this. Ah!
You?
I eat a potato.
I can't see it on your screen because you're
telescope.
I think it's just your whole border.
Hang on, let me see if I can.
Sorry.
Oh. Oh, is that you making that noise? Is that you?
Maybe.
I've got a beer symbol, I've got a Shrin symbol, a red blood drop, a jacket. There's like a red blood drop that keeps pulsating.
If you press tab and then you go over to the character tab, it's right next to the hand. And you look on the right, it should show you the status.
Severely dehydrated. Whoops.
That's why.
That might be. Insimidas got 1,000 PP for being top helper.
Got the PP.
Now my stamina's building. I wasted all that stuff. I wasted it all because I just weren't drinking water. I'm an idiot.
Okay, zombie running now is actually scary. Holy crap.
Oh shit, yeah, they run at night. Would we class this house as empty?
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
smash it out of the park.
Scoot, let's run.
not that way.
Why not? Oh! The fuck was that? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh my god, Gollum. Where did that come from?
What I'm saying is this way is where the radiation is.
Oh, so run back this way.
finish your quest so we know where the trader is, and then we can head in that direction. So then you
it
can
says
get
start
that
base
massive.
upgrade frame shape, so I dumped that here.
Did someone spawn a snake? Because I hear a
I heard
snake. Oh,
something.
there's the snake.
Snaky snack. So what do I do? Use mouse wheel. What? Hashtag celebrate.
Alright.
Use equip stone axe. I keep picking it up though.
You have to right click with the stone axe. There you go.
Now it's making me gather small stones. Which I know there's none around here because I took ages trying to find some for the fire.
Do I not have any small stones? Oh, I have small stones. You want small stones?
Apparently I need 5 small stones. Did you just drop a bollock? What
Right
was
there.
that?
It's your small stones. Pick them up.
I can't
It's
see
right
them.
there. Look down.
I am looking down. I literally can't see them.
How about now? I put them right there. You're standing on them.
Now I can see them. Craft a campfire. Bum bum bum. I wish it would remember the fact I've already done this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it did in one update, and then it hasn't now. They also changed it. I don't like the noise.
In the road because I can.
All right.
Journey to settlement. Local trader. Continue. Oh, goodies. Rocky, you supplied us with night vision goggles. Yoink.
Nice. It looks like you got
armor,
one.
And padded chestplate.
Looks like I don't get one this time. Okay.
You didn't get one this time?
No, not great.
Aha, streamer privilege.
Schmack.
So we gotta run this way? What is that? Oh my god! Oh my god! They have definitely improved that. Oh god, I did not like that. Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm gonna die.
That's why you place the beds, right?
Yeah. I think I picked my bed back up.
Oh, place it down. Bust it down, bust it down. How far away is the
2.9
kilometers?
Thank you for the regen. 2.9 kilometers. Let me.
Wow, that's really far away.
Yeah.
Is that where? Wait.
Is it the same one or different?
I wonder if it is. Can you mark it on your map and share it with me?
What is this that I got? What is this?
That's the claim block.
Well, I don't have a land claim block anymore. Mark it on map, so 2.9. Oh, I can't even scroll my map out far enough for it. Hang on. It is...
Wait.
I'm working on it. It's very far away.
Is it Trader Joel? Does it tell you that?
White River Citizen.
Trader Joel. Yeah, it's sending you to the same one that I was at. I'm looking on your stream, so yeah.
And then allies. Can you see it on the map now? Did I do that right?
I was trying to get you, but I'm looking on stream, and I was looking as you were hovering over. Yes, it's the exact same one.
Okay. Don't mind me just harvesting some danger noodle.
Don't you have a bone shiv?
Yes.
I would not run with the torch out, because that's going to attract all of the zombies.
Are they attracted by light?
They were in previous updates. I ain't messing with them now.
There's a dog or something on the road. What is that? Is that a deer? I think it's a deer. It might be safe. Well, it might be safe from us, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
My stamina is so pants. There's 2 of them.
Deer?
One just
deer
climbed
or
up the
deer?
mountain. And
Oh,
then
there's
one
a
on the run.
zombie. I'm gonna wait till I get my stamina back.
Yeah, I need to linger. I'm at 43%.
Alright.
Let's see. What have I got? Where that? Where that? Where that? Absolutely nothing. Got it. Level up! Let's go!
Nice! I forgot we share XP when we're close enough. What you gonna... Have you put any of your points into anything yet?
No, nothing yet. I was gonna wait till we got to the traders so I could do it a bit freer!
Is that a scare?
I heard a dog.
Aha! Called it.
It was a scare? Okay.
Yep.
Did not like that. No, thank you.
Oh, there's the golem.
Oh, they have
Snake
improved.
behind you. Snake behind you.
Oh! There's also weird screaming going on. Focus on the golem! Ah! Oh god, you can see its spine. You can see its spine. I have no stamina left to stab things. You saw nothing. We saw everything! I think it's dead. I think the noodle is dead.
Yeah, but I'm about to die.
Oh no! Where are you? Oh god, it's back over here. Can I hit it with the fire? Can I hit it with the fire? Wait, did you see that?
It was eating the snake?
It was eating the snake.
Yeah.
Thank you for the regain.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I was on 18 health.
Oh god. This is going well. It's going well. We need to get out of here. We need to get out of here.
Oh goodness. 1 second. Let me make sure that my gun is reloaded. There we go.
That is a good point.
Wait, are you using a club?
I've been mixing between my axe, my bone shiv, and the club.
Alright. Take this club. It's a better club.
Where did that go? There it is.
Then you can...
Thank you!
Yeah.
I got a better booper stick.
That make me make better booper sticks.
Better boopers. Let's go.
We are going to die.
It feels like we should have been dead 3 times, I'll be honest.
Look, I'll be honest. Chat be helping.
They do.
Alright.
And then they spawn
Zombie
stuff to
there.
murder us. They're farming us. They're farming us for points.
Thanks.
Where did you go? Did you run towards the house?
No, the zombie that you passed right by you that just decided to go for me.
Like, run! Run!
We gotta tackle them as we go, otherwise we may get overrun. Because I don't know how big their sensing is, especially at night. Oh, we got 2. Alright, let's try and focus on the one that's on the bridge. Let's move a little left. Oh, there's 3.
There's a lot on that bridge. Huh!
One, alright.
Oh!
Behind you.
To hit! Oh, I'm dead. I am toasty. I'm going to die. Emily, I don't want to play. Oof.
How much health you at?
I'm at 39 and
Alright.
at 27 stamina.
Alright, let me throw you a... That's a health bandage?
Also gonna take some regain. Oof. Thank you.
Welcome.
I will repay. I will definitely repay when I'm not so dying.
Alright, I gotta eat. This.
Like I've got 13 meat in my inventory. But
Oh
nowhere
no,
to cook it.
I have food in my inventory. I got some charred meat that I ate.
I'm just gonna take a nice, polite stroll. I'm just waiting for my stamina to build up. My
We have to go through a town.
Oh, great. Fantabadabadoza. Ooh, boxes. Blocks! Item in use. Did you just leave cornmeal and that was it?
Yeah.
What do you have against cornmeal?
Inventory space.
Valid. Definitely valid. Is the gameplay bright enough for people in chat as well? I don't know.
Oh, I hear a zombie. I don't know where it is. There it is.
It's coming up on the
Oh, it's Beryl.
Oh, what the heck happened there? Sir. Oh. I can't. I hate that my stamina's low and I can't stab anything.
Are you thirsty or hungry again?
I think it's thirsty again.
Oh, there's another one.
I think we should probably hide somewhere because these are absolutely savage. And I can't run.
Oh, I'm infected. I got all the things.
Oh no. Thank you for the regen.
I appreciate the regen.
We could maybe do with some zoomies. Some zoomies or something.
Oh god.
How long have we got left on the night? It's what, nearly 4.
Wait, do you have any antibiotics by chance?
Any what?
Antibiotics? Green pills?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I haven't found any yet. Thank you
when I turn into a zombie, when I turn into a zombie and kill you, I apologize. You know what we should do?
By moderators.
We should make another bedroll and place it here.
Yeah, we have gone quite far, haven't we? I almost made barbed wire then. Almost.
Why can't
I'm not all evil. I appreciate the Energizer help as well. And the regen. Or regen. God, my brain.
Oh.
Where are you? You're over here. Bonk. Bed's down.
Alright.
And the sun is rising.
Hey. Yeah, freaking 2 ferals in a row. That's kind of rough.
A new vault has started.
Oh no.
Currently, silly vault, silly sounds, bucket heads, or C celebrations, or A, B, or C.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Oh no, it's up to chat whether they vote A, B, or C.
Remember to do a hashtag A, B, or C to vote for what you want.
No violence. Procky is voting for C. Ah, why you bonk? Why? Brush with death. 60 minutes lived in a single game. I haven't died in 60 minutes. Can I make antibiotics?
Not right now, that's for sure.
Oof. It's looking like celebration, but I don't know what that is. I don't know what that does.
Did it delete your bed? Did you pick up your bed?
I picked it up, yeah.
Alright, place it back down. Please.
I placed it
down.
down.
So if we die, we go back there, versus if you leave that, you're just gonna spawn somewhere random.
What does celebration do?
I don't. Let's see. If we go to character, Twitch celebrate. You explode zombies and animals into confetti when they die.
Okay, we need to find them. I think I'm dehydrated again.
Do you need anything? Do you have liquids?
I have murky water. I don't have any clean water left.
All right. I have coffee. Have some coffee.
Let's see if that works. Coffee works for hydration?
Yep.
Procky spawned a normal.
What?
Oh!
There we go. I love that.
I need more of that, please, chat. I need more.
I accidentally hit my scroll wheel, and suddenly I was holding gasoline instead of my club.
Why are you holding gasoline? That's a test. Oh, we gotta go through a town.
Actually, right up here is something we could probably hit the Crack-a-Book and get a lot of upgrades for our stuff.
At the minute, I'm just like 3 stamina chugging.
What is your, if you click character and then you hit like the little bar graph, tell me what your food and water are at.
Currently dehydrated again. Encumbered. Twitch celebrate. Antibiotic medicine. Mild infection.
No. On the left, there's a little bar graph symbol between the character icon and like a trophy
health,
icon.
97 out of 102. Stamina is now 102. Food 70. Water is 19.
Okay. Here's something that will give you 60 water.
What is that?
Drink it.
Suspicious fluids. Rocky received 1,000 PP points for top helper. Now we can run. Hold on. Even though I can't fucking see where I'm going. You are thirsty. Health and stamina recovering are slower. What is wrong with this? There's a zombie. I can just about see it at the crossroads.
Oh, I shift tabbed. Whoops. Don't mess with me.
The confetti thing is beautiful.
The pink minivan's up ahead.
I'm running. I can barely see where I'm going. How fares the bun? I returned from my eldest child orchestra. How did the kiddos' event go? That is very, very pink. Very, very pink. I've got 2 kilometers to run because I want to get this Trader Joe's done. And then I can come back and like we can poke through the town. Bun fares well. Bun hasn't died just yet. Chat is trying though. Well, his first time in front of a crowd, and he held up well. He plays the bass.
Nice. I'm a doofus and read that as bass. He plays the bass. He brings out a big fish.
Does that mean he can play a good tuna? I'll see myself out. I can hear. There you are. Oh! Oh!
Okay.
The biggest tuna. I'm running.
I just had
Thing is, I'm a loot goblin, but Goal's the one looting more than me right now. I just want to get to the trader. I kind of want to see what the murder chickens do.
Why is everything getting dark?
I don't know. It's raining, that's why.
Oh, it's raining. I don't know what that does, if that does anything.
Cold by the looks of it, cold and wet damage thingy.
Oh, lovely. Hypothermia, let's go.
Just want to go to the trader. Cue rain. Exactly. But we're getting very, very close to having our song request back on.
Ooh.
When we reach 250 followers, we get the song request.
Oh, crawler.
Oh, does it have feet? No, it doesn't. It's got noodles instead. Ew.
Boom.
They've upgraded the zombies. They definitely upgraded them. Just want to do the trader. Q red. Yeah, cold and darker, but not nightmarish dark. So no sped up Zeds. See, look, I'm running this way. Look at this. Look.
Wait, no, come back.
What?
Use this book. This is the third one I found of it. It makes
Lucky
it so you can get more
looter.
ammo. Yeah.
Yoink! I grabbed it.
You use it?
Yep.
Okay. I was making sure you just didn't pick it up and went, "Wee."
I don't want to die. PP Bonanza. What? Do I need to move with my character so you guys can see the redeemables a bit better? But Dash, I'm glad things went well. This sign saying come back, it's like, we will. We're going to raid your entire town.
How far are we now?
It says 1.5.
We're getting there.
Nowerish. Nowerish?
Norish.
Am I reading that wrong? Am I reading it wrong?
Maybe. Oh, are you starving?
No, I should be okay.
Okay.
I think honey works like antibiotic. So I was testing.
Gotcha.
I've got a 1 minute 25 Healy thingy from it, so I'm guessing it does something. Dash! Supposed to remove hunger and thirst.
Oh.
I can check on the thingy.
New actions. What's group snakes? What does that mean?
The fuck is it group snakes? Oh no.
All
there's a tools place right here.
Yep.
We're going to run past it because we're running into the fucking nowhere. You are cold. Find clothing. Bah! Fuck's sake! Come on!
A new vote has started.
A new vote has started. Oh no. I'm going to stand
here
and let my stamina build. The current vote is vote attack, nurse attack, party girl attack, or question mark. A, B, or C. Oakenstein's voting for the nurse. Don't mind me. Had to test reaction difference in the survival in a different survival game. Crocky's voting C and somebody is voting C. Oh god, they're going for mystery. They're going for the mystery meat.
It's gonna be bikers, I bet, if it's mystery. And that's gonna be bikers or lumberjacks, and that's gonna be tough. That's my guess.
I don't have.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna build a bed and place it. I don't have enough fibers, never mind.
I might do.
1 second. It's not like I can't punch them. Fibers are really easy.
You should know how to do the grass thing. Whoa! Oh, what the hell are those?
Janitors?
Janitors? But we're also freezing. No. 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 They've come to clean up your act.
Alright, we got 1.
Oh,
we got 2. We got 3.
I'm just going for headshots. That's all I'm going for. I'm sure this guy worked at my school.
Nice.
Whew.
All done?
All dead?
I'm gonna place my bed here, so now we have a new respawn point.
Channel PP point has been activated. What is this? Channel PP point event activated by Dash? Oh, you redeemed 500. They're gaining more PP.
Alright.
Wait, if holding this, does this keep us warmer?
No, it doesn't seem to. Let's keep running.
Find clothing, take shelter. You are freezing. Oh no, I'm gonna die to the weather after all this, aren't I? Mystery supplies. I heard it, but I don't see where it went.
Right here. Poppin' pills.
We got drugs!
Yeah, this is not bad. Did you get antibiotics by chance?
I got ammo.
Oh, okay.
Thank
I
you
am
for
hungry.
the grants, I appreciate it.
I will eat.
Oh, I'm going to
Oh.
die.
I got dysentery.
I'm gonna die of exposure. I've got a snowflake which is flashing red. I'm gonna die. I don't know. Is there any shelter around here? Dash spawned a crawler on the Minotaur. So they can pick. Oh god,
Oh,
god,
can
where
they?
are you? Did you get it? Bonk. It dead?
Yep.
Double dead. Nice try, Dash. Yeah, we can pick anyone on there, so you guys can pick who you spawn things on. Got it.
Nice. That's cool.
I just want to get to the trader.
How far are we now?
How
far are we now? We got this. I may shit myself before we get there, but... You don't have to fully stop to regain stamina. You can just regular walk.
Just normal walk.
But,
well, this is my
yeah.
normal walk, apparently.
I'm just fast.
Okay, I'm at 112, but I am kind of loot heavy right now. We're not going to perchance like find just a random vehicle, are we? Because that would help.
No.
Never actually used these before. I see fun buttons to click. Oh no. Hashtag pack no.
I already have two... I'm already too deep in that proxy.
How? Oh. I hear a zombo. I don't see a zombo.
Where's that coming from?
I think that was a bird. No,
oh,
it was
air.
her. It was what?
It was a scare. Dash did a scare.
I thought you said a bear. As in Bear Bear.
No. Scare.
I think it's because I'm being a bit hyper alert. So it was like,
wait, did you kill one?
I just killed a zombie over here.
I didn't see it. Sorry.
Did you get some XP?
Yep.
Well, then it's all good then. Oh, Dash, why?
What is this? What, did you get painting too?
Yes.
This is, I hate this. This is new and I hate it.
I've not seen this one before.
Like, it's artistically beautiful, but I hate it.
That picks everyone, it seems. Yeah, usually when it's a visual effect, it's everybody.
Mm-hmm. Or a buff or debuff.
Yes.
Wait, I hear someone.
It's me! Is she dead?
I killed you.
She dead.
Yes, we got the XP.
800 meters. Are we gonna make it? I just want to get there. I just want to get there. What was that?
We can see. It was saying, hey. It was saying the end of the
endy thingy.
Yeah.
Have I got anything of useful in my thingy right now? I don't want to drop that. Scrap bookshop because I'll never use that gun. I have rifle parts. Mechanical parts. I'm just seeing if there's anything I can do to like minimize. Get rid of the stone arrow, get rid of the ball.
I think at this point we're just so close it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just gotta keep moving. Sprint.
Now, are we to follow the road round or go over the hill?
Oh. Follow whatever the direct direction is.
Well, I'm gonna go this way. Because that's where the arrow's telling me to go.
With fast, it helps.
The zoomy zooms. Thank you for the zoomy zooms. I'm gonna zoomy zoom right into water, apparently.
This is the water I was telling you about.
Is this the one you found earlier? Whoop.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of upgrading to this game since I played last. I've got 20 seconds left to zoomy, and I'm going to use it.
I don't understand how I'm faster than you, though.
It's because I'm probably overburdened.
I have less. Yeah, I only have 4, while you probably have like 12 or something.
I have 14 overburden right now.
I was close.
You are hungry. Your maximum stamina is reduced. What was that noise?
That was the energize.
Boar Barn Fields. Why has it got 2 skulls on it?
That's the difficulty. Like
when
that.
Did they add difficulty to zones like
that? Recently. Where?
Hut.
Where'd you go?
I'm just running towards the little yellow marker.
That's fair.
There is a lot we can come back and like explore. But right now I need to get this done.
Don't have any more.
I need to sell some shit. And do my skill points. And apparently climb a mountain. There's a mountain between us and the trader.
Yeah, I remember this mountain.
This mountain?
Yeah, I killed a zombie on this mountain.
Back in my day.
Oh, you can see the trader from here, so that's not bad.
It is just in the middle of friggin' nowhere, isn't it? Bit silly. Whoa. Try not to break ankles. Yeah. There's a zombie to the right. He's a hoodie. He's a youth.
He's
Brocky, no.
Spooky, scary, yeah.
Meow, meow, meow. Nearly there. Generally, this feels like an upgrade to the last time I played, just rendering wise, as well as environment wise. It feels better. Why are you trying to make it snow? Chat, why are you trying to make it snow? Why? At least you didn't arrive at night time. Would have been locked out. That is true. Are you good with? Are you good with the door? Go. Like fuck this door in particular. Guess we gotta go up the ramp. It still throws you out, doesn't it? I think at a certain time.
Only mods let you stay.
This is different. There's like clothing racks and.
This is definitely a new one of.
This is upgraded, definitely.
Yeah.
Can I break this
had
no.
Still can't break this shit. I had one that spawned in a what was it? A church. That was pretty cool.
Yup, no hiding inside the traders, please. Why not? I'm just gonna sell everything that I don't want right now. Mushrooms, they can get sold. What else? I don't have I didn't have. It won't let me sell gasoline. Okay. Crafting stuff I will generally know we'll get again. At the minute, I just want to be unburdened a little bit. I'm still not unburdened. Fuck!
Do you have stuff in like the wrong slots? No, you just have way too much stuff. Never mind.
Yeah. Wait.
Do you want to set?
I can check some down there.
Do you want to set up camp like near the trader, but on the road?
It might be handy because
then we can.
I've got a lot of stuff that's kind of useful. I don't want to sell it.
I'll start making some boxes.
I've got 76 wood. I like his traders. It feels good. Except for this thing. I don't like this. It's the apocalypse. You don't need mannequins. Where is he hopped to? Whoop. Is that you over there? Or is that a zombie? That's you, I think. You can't break his stuff, but you can find lootables. That is true.
She would be able to find lootables if I wasn't here first.
Oh? What is this? There be goodies. And a new vault has started. Buff vault. I've got a jar of honey. Go, do you want to try one of these jars of honey, see if it works like an antibiotic?
It does not anymore.
It doesn't.
I double checked. Yeah.
Curtain vault is buff vault, shield, jumbled backpack, or resourceful. What?
Alright.
Chat's void AAC.
Let's say upper left is food and drink.
So from where you are?
Yeah.
Upper left, so...
Yep.
That's one.
Yeah, I'm just putting stuff in it right now. So you can't access it, I apologize.
I got 13 meat. I'm going to put my 13 meat in your box.
Alright. One below it, I'm just going to put miscellaneous materials like clay, brass, lead. What was that?
Completed. Resourceful. What does resourceful do?
You harvest double the materials.
Oh, nice. Quick, I'm gonna go nail a tree. We need the materials, we need the wood. When my stamina catches up. It's a fairly big tree as well, so this should be good. Thank you for the energize. I appreciate it. You're helping me take down nature. Come on, come on. I already have a level 1 axe, so bear with me. Bonk. I'm hitting everything. The yellow flowers do something. I think that's for one of the medicines, I think.
It makes goldenrod tea.
And that's good for zooming?
I think it's... I don't remember. It may be digestion.
I'm going to make a very quick bedroll so I can put it down here.
That's smart.
Because I don't want to get yeeted into the abyss again. These tree stumps, I remember they do something. Was it honey?
They used to hold stuff. They used to be secret, like, oh, haha.
Funny how have you seen that picture of that dog mummy that is inside a car? Not inside a car, inside a tree.
No.
At some point or another in the last 20 years, a dog ran off, got stuck in a tree, and it became a mummy.
Oh, a mummy?
Yeah, it got mummified because of the tannins in the tree and the airflow.
Wild.
It was creepy. Definitely creepy. Weird facts with Bun.
For sure.
Right, so if I'm going to throw a box over here because I don't trust my inventory. I think it's a mess, so I'm just gonna throw it all over here. Then I'll tidy out from there into the good stuff. Mummy, yeah, it was dried. The airflow of the tree, the tannins, also meant that scavengers didn't find it because the airflow going from the bottom of the tree up and out of the tree. So even bugs and stuff didn't get it, so it was perfectly mummified. I don't have a curio channel in the Discord at the minute, but was it covered in chocolate and nuts? Not that kind. What? Wait, that's a throwback. Didn't people do that with mummies at one point? They ate them in like Victorian times. People were gross. Craft. Where did that go? There it is. I'm pretty sure the Victorians or somebody like that ate mummies. They only did it with Ferrero. I hate you. I hate you. Nope.
Ferrero Rocker, Ferrero Rocker.
Zombie noise is coming. Zombie noise is coming. Where's that bitch?
Knock your ass out. Knock your ass out.
She down? She down.
Yeah.
I should really do my skill points.
For sure.
So I go into tab.
And then it's the little graduate cap.
Okay, so that's how many skill points do I have? I don't see where. I need. Oh, what's going to be handy? I'm completely rusty over what needs to be what on here.
Honestly, anything can be handy.
Anything. Right, well, I've got fast metabolism, so I've got healing factor. Harker, your increased stamina regain by 10. And where is the pack mule? Because I always need pack mule.
That's in strength.
Got it. Starkid, my nieces asked me why the food was cold and bland. I told them it was because their mother had put her heart and soul into it. I got all the jokes, even though some may repeat. It's not like you told one of those earlier, is it?
No.
I'm also getting the chef one because I have a point left. I still 1 point left. I'm going to put another point in pack mule because it won't let me.
To do that, you need to up strength by 1 and then put it into pack mule again.
I'm out of points, but I did the thing, so I can get it next time.
What did you put in besides pack mule?
1 for cooking, pack mule, 1 of the cardio, and 1 of the health regains.
Okay. I just find it funny.
What? Why?
We both have double pack mule and we both have 1 in cooking. I went
like
for
looting. I don't deny this.
Oh yeah, you like looting. I put a point into lucky looter.
Oh god. Everything I own is in this box right now. Everything.
I also put 1 into Spearmaster, which probably wasn't the best. I usually like using spears, but I haven't.
That's true. You usually go melee a while for a bit. Usually.
I am using the clubber. I prefer the spear, but I have an upgraded club right now, so it's just going to deal more damage. Yeah. I forget. When do I turn with this infection?
I don't know. Do you turn? I don't even know.
I believe you do.
Does anybody in chat know? Is there like a limitation before you become a Zom? I have no idea.
Oh, what? Sneaky.
Alright, so I have that. I have a little bit of charred meat. Cobblestone rocks. We need a fire. Honestly, I thought it was just an infection like being sick. Star Kid's asking, do you become a zombie? That is a good question. It's not silly to think that getting an infection from a zombie that you would get zombied.
Okay. I would ask the chat to Google. Help us, please. Use the Google.
Chat refuses to Google. They're like, no, you find out if you become a zombie by becoming a zombie.
Alright, I'm gonna make sure I'm right next to Kira when it happens. Gotcha.
What? That's just gonna encourage him not to Google it even further. You know that?
Yeah.
Fire down.
Let's do this.
Do we have anything like a grill or like that?
We have a cooking pot, but let me make the campfire, I guess.
A new vote has started. Buff vote, right. No time, jumbled backpack, energize. So A, B, or C. Starkid deletes Google. What?
You know what?
I have an answer from Wiki if you truly want, but mine all made it tempting not to say.
I'm good.
Chat can currently vote for a buff. It's either no time, jumbled backpack, or energize, which is A, B, or C.
We have cooking
Chat is being remarkably nice. It is. I appreciate it, and I'm kind of scared. There's a whole wall of C. Where Starkid puts D. Nice try! But of course you would have to put your D in the chat, Starkid. Energize was selected. Alright, so I have... Can I make any better weapons at the minute? I don't think I can.
Alright, cool.
Or?
I'm trying to figure it out. Ta-da! Oh, they actually updated it. Look! There's an actual cooking pot on it.
Oh, that's a lot better.
I like that. Last time I only had the grill, so it was not useful.
Should I slam all my meat on the fire?
Yeah, you can cook, 100%.
There you go. I will say, as you progress from stage 1 to 4 of infection, you get less stamina regain and start losing stat points in your attributes.
Oh.
So there is a threat to it. Is there a couple of baked potatoes in there?
Oh, let's say cure infection. I'm sorry.
Did you like my potatoes?
They were mine. Oh, there's 2 zombies.
Where are they? They've changed the models for these, definitely. They're a lot more detailed now. Oof! Stay down! If your meat has burning sensation, go to doctor. Yes.
Yeah, you were right about the honey. It does cure infections. I'm sorry.
So it helps?
Yeah, it does 5%, which will be helpful.
So
if I do this... antibiotic medicine for 4.6.
What time is it?
You have treated mildly. Continued medication until infection is cleared up, so yeah. Alright.
Yeah, so we've got 2 honey left in there. We've got some potato seeds. We've got some oak seeds.
Alright, I'm taking your murky water and I'm cooking it.
But what if I like my water with flavor?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna take these and I'm just gonna plant them because why not? With my luck, I'll run up here to plant these trees and I'll just run into a zombie. Can it land there? There we go. We released the trees! Oh, there is a zombie right on the road. I'm going to try and not trigger it. They've upgraded a shit ton of this game. Boink.
Like your
boink, boink. What's over here? 10 years of an alpha will do that, updating a lot. Do you think they're ever going to come out of alpha?
No.
I've heard they do stuff like this for tax reasons. Where did I get random raw meat from?
I don't know.
Right, so keep all that stuff in there. I'm going to bring a bandage with me. Can I?
Well, I wonder.
Where's my coins?
Can I cook something with corn?
Corn. Honestly, no. I've never seen them. You never see them exiting alpha or, yeah. Brain. So we've got vending machines here. They've changed the vending machines. They look nicer. I'm sure this guy has stuff I can steal in his trader area. Unless Galt's already been in here, which is a high possibility.
But
you did miss some ammo.
Oh, fair.
Neener.
I take your box. My box now.
It's my ammo now.
Water minus 30. Oof.
Wait, can I punch the plants? Can I steal? There's pumpkins.
What was that?
I don't know what that was.
Kira?
No?
Hello?
Hello?
I can't hear you. You're going through stream, but you're not going through Discord.
Oh, that's weird. It's lighting up on Discord.
Whack. It's right after that sound.
The whack whack? Can you still hear me? If you can hear me through stream, Discord is having that RTC
I cannot hear you. I just pop into stream.
Yeah, I can't hear you. RTC connect, no route. Internet. Discord go burr. I don't know if you can hear me via stream, but I can't hear you. I can't hear you in Discord. You can try. Oh, I heard you. Can you hear me? I'm gonna stand here for a second. I'm gonna try to change the voice channel thingy. Sometimes changing the region does help, sometimes it doesn't. Meow. Meow meow.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Oh, it works now. Let me see if I can throw us back in.
Okay, let's see.
Meow meow? Meow 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 meow?
I can hear you there. All right, cool.
There we go.
For a second, I was moving the live channel because I was trying to move myself.
Oof.
Why is there a wall next to your name now? That's weird.
A wall?
Yeah.
Is it because I'm inside the traders?
That's it. 100%.
That's probably a good part of it.
Yeah, you're using your noggin. Well done.
I just realized there's a helipad in here. An actual helicopter landing pad. They factored that in. Why am I going so slow? It might be because I'm crouched.
Oh, does that, like, delete?
What did you do?
Well, we'll find out. I'm
I just
cooking
realized
some
on the
boiled
door it
eggs.
says, "You loot, I shoot."
I already looted. Get wrecked.
In before he comes looking for you outside. I came out the back instead of the front.
Well,
Welcome back. Thank you.
so
if I have one piece of meat left. Let's get that on the fire. This item is in use. This item is in use. This item is in use.
Dang. I kept going out of it and then going back into it.
You're a monster! Everything seems to be running okay though for the test stream today.
Yeah. Besides
the sounds are
the
working.
Discord hiccup.
Yeah, and that can be Discord's only service though, can it?
Yeah.
I can't throw a single meat. A single meat can't go in the fire. That's not fair.
Nope.
Don't have any. Wait, my murky water. Where did that go?
I cooked it.
Is it in the thing?
And then I used it to make boiled eggs.
I'm dying of dehydration and you made boiled eggs? God!
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see if the trader's selling liquids.
You can get water from the soup and stuff that's in the box. Oh, you're gone. Goodbye.
I ran. You didn't have enough meat for it. Failing the meat test. How dare.
Okay.
Huh?
It does seem to eat your water. That's kind of really bad.
When you do the boiled eggs?
Yeah, it just eats your water balls. I don't know why it used to give you the water bottle back.
Yeah. Rip the goat with a stone axe. Violence.
Oh.
Hashtag nourish.
There are now 3 waters in the chest.
Let's see. If I could save 2,250, there's a water filter here.
What does that do?
I think you put it on your helmet. A component used in crafting a dew collector. That's new.
Oh, okay.
120.
I knew it was 2. You just stockpile some bottles and keep boiling water.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So now models get... That's so silly.
Now bottles get deleted when used. But what's the point in that?
Oh,
in an apocalypse, you'd be reusing your bottles.
So those, like, just water bottles that were in the secure storage chest, those are water. So there's actual water in there.
Oof. I'm running back round. I don't know why I'm being nice and closing all of his doors. I assume they close at night anyway. It filters water, Sterling. What else would a water filter do from StarKid?
StarKid? I'm going to use that in ways that you don't want it to be used. I'm going to tell you how it can be used.
There be violence. Mod on mod violence, chat.
You'll never see it coming. Ha ha.
I'm gonna stand here and drink my purchased water. It better be Evian.
I said we had water.
Does it give me a jar though? It does not. I consumed it and there is no jar.
What the heck?
Is that supposed to happen? I'm pretty sure we used to do that and then...
No, you would get the jar back.
Yeah.
That is
We
too
can't do anything
easy,
about
my
that.
ass.
Use my words any way you want. Oh, God.
I wonder, can you make...
I do have glass, but... I have one broken glass.
You can't make bottles, you can't make these things.
So, how the hell? That changed recently. They decided it was too easy to just stockpile bottles and keep boiling water.
Yeah. I read it. I'm just that why? You can't even make them.
Well, that sucks. But I'm going to have to save this here. Because I need to have a break and get some food.
Gotcha. Was fun?
It was. Let me just check Discord. I think I am back tomorrow on here. Wednesday schedule would be Twitch 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. break and then TikTok. Yeah, I'm back tomorrow.
Oh. Sorry, Dash.
Was directed at Kira. She missed it. Yeah, I did. I completely derped it. But Minotaur, thank you for helping.
No problem.
I'll keep this save. I'll keep this. And this is the one we'll keep tapping in on. Bonk! I'm running. If it lets me. Oh god, is it going to let me?
Yep.
It did. But guys, thank you for swinging by while we did the test stream today. Let me just see if... Yeah, they're still live. We're going to throw a Hosty Ready host over to Chubbs. They're doing a Dono situation. You don't have to if you don't want to. But they're becoming a veteran. They're just recently leaving the service. So they need a bit of life help. A little bit of life help. So if you can get your butts over there, I would appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back on TikTok later on tonight. I need to go put some food in my face. Be well, be safe. Thank you for the Thank you for the resubs. Thank you for everything like that. I'll see you next time. I'll probably see you on TikTok. Bye!
Then we awkwardly wait for the raid.